New numbers have been published showing just how much fentanyl the state of California seized last month. According to new data from the Newsom administration, the California haul is growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The 1 million fentanyl pill size were recovered statewide. That includes more than 592,000 pills at the state's port of entry along the California-Mexico border. Governor Newsom saying his decision to increase the number of CalGuard service members at the border has helped somewhat. He's calling on Congress to take action to secure the border and blame congressional Republicans for rejecting the recent Biden-backed border security package. Always has to be somebody's fault, and it's always usually the Republicans. Meanwhile, the Republicans, they point the finger the other way. They blame President Joe Biden and his policies that have worsened the crisis at the southern border. So we have politicians doing this as we introduce crisis coach Scott Silverman, who joins us, who probably doesn't want to talk about fentanyl as a political matter, probably wants to talk about it more as a health crisis and the demand to do something about it, to work together, right?
Well, it doesn't really matter what side of the aisle on. You're losing family members. I mean, 110,000 deaths in 2022, and it's going to be even higher in 2023. And the border issue, you know, I think it's interesting because everybody points the finger. And when you think about it, according to the Border Patrol, you know, 93,000 people right here in San Diego cross that border every day. And on their best day, they can only get to 2 or 3% and actually do a thorough, you know, take them into secondary, do a real search, and bring the dogs around. So if they're the 97% are getting through, and even if we quadrupled the people that are being searched when they come across the border,
still wouldn't slow it
down. We're going to create a traffic jam, which is going to create a commerce problem, which is going to be even a bigger impact economically. So it's a no win-win if we look at the border as the only reason we're seeing the fentanyl increase.
It would seem to me that a more effective plan would be to kill the demand for drugs. If you could stop the, you know, if no one wanted to do it, then we wouldn't have as much of it coming across the border.
Right.
Is that a reasonable, or is that just a pie in the sky
Well, as a
idea?
healthcare provider, I probably wouldn't frame it that way, kill the demand, but you're absolutely right. How do we educate and how do we motivate individuals to make an intelligent decision when they're at a party and their buddy walks up and says, hey, Paul, you've got to try this Xanax. I slept great on it last night. You take the pill, it's laced with fentanyl, and you overdose and die.
Yeah.
That is how critical it is right now because fentanyl is a poison. It's not a party drug. Back in my day when we were taking party drugs, they were 10 times less strong than they are today, including marijuana. So we just have to inform our young people because the cartel, Paul, they're not going to slow down. They're making billions. And the rumors are now, there's concern that if Trump wins and the borders close, their distribution is going to cut off. If Biden stays in place, they're concerned because they're not sure which way to go with it. So from a political perspective, it doesn't really matter. The cartels are making so much money off the death of our loved ones. We have to find a way to, as you say, kill the desire or find a way to give people options. So instead of taking the pill, because one pill can kill, they make an option that's a little bit different.
You know how many times I've heard you say that? How many times you've been on, just in my short tenure working on this morning show.
You were in high school when we first started this conversation.
I guess, you know, it's like almost like the Tijuana sewage crisis. We've been talking about it. Everybody knows what the issue is, and yet it doesn't seem to be getting better. It seems to be getting worse. How frustrating is that for you, for somebody who sees the tragedy up close and personal over and over again?
You know, I have trouble sleeping sometimes at night, but I've learned as I've gotten older that I have to accept the way things are. You know, I was a homeless provider, as you know, for 18 years, and look what's happened with that. So I have to accept the fact, personally, like most do, that, you know, government's not going to fix this. And if we look to government to fix this, it's not going to get fixed. And you know that definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So for me, what I try to do is do this. And, you know, you're one of the few stations in this community that even gives the conversation a platform to help reduce the stigma. You know, and I got a call just last week from somebody who saw me here 3 years ago. She goes, I wanted to call you. I said, 3 years ago you wanted to call me? So the concept of the stigma and the fear of reaching out is tough for people. But we have to encourage people, it's okay. 3 hardest words, English language, I need help. Make the phone call. If it's not me, somebody.
If more people would do that, maybe we would curb the demand.
I'd love to stop doing this.
Surely, with the rise of fentanyl and the fact that you could be one and done, and I don't mean that to be glib, but I'm just saying that one dose, one pill can kill, right?
Exactly.
Surely, things like cocaine usage and all that is going down, right?
Well, actually, cocaine is back up again because the cartels have dominated the distribution. China's created the precursors, so they're working together, and they're trying to get the increased market share. And what's happened during this period of time with fentanyl being so easy to manufacture, so inexpensive to get their hands on, there's been a desire, people don't like it when I use the term drug seeker, but the drug seeker wants something that's not going to kill him. So cocaine sales are starting to come back up again. Heroin sales are coming back up again, but they're generally laced with fentanyl. So far, cocaine hasn't been because it has to be grown, it has to be manufactured, it has to be distributed, and it has to come here different ways. It's a lot harder to get it here, and it's a lot more expensive. Fentanyl's gotten so inexpensive. You and I could pony up $5,000 together. We could buy the precursors, and we could make $1 million off of that precursor and create fentanyl. And right now in San Diego, according to the criminal justice system, 90% of the illicit drugs in our community are laced with fentanyl.
Hear that, everybody? Take heed. Take heed. One pill can kill. As long as we're both above ground, let's just keep doing this interview, and maybe eventually the message will get through.
Well, if one person hears this message and makes a phone call, you and I have done something special.
We did something good today. All right. Thank you very much, Scott.